welcome to the My Journey podcast with me, Matt Johnson, and my co-host, Tom Scott. How are you this week?
I'm not bad, thanks, Matt. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. We're just having a discussion before we start recording this, and we've decided we want to do a little bit of housekeeping with the podcast, because listeners have been growing, which is great, but we want that to continue, and we've not really asked for much back from our listeners in a little while, really. So what we're going to ask is that if you are listening to this podcast on Apple Podcasts specifically, but any platform this works, if you can follow the podcast or rate or leave a review, that would be absolutely fantastic, because the way that the platforms work is the more reviews and the more ratings that we get, the better we will rank and the more people will find it. So that would be absolutely great if anyone who's listening could do that.
What you can also do as well, guys, is if you don't want to be rating or following for whatever reason, just share it with your friend. Either send them a link, or if you're just chatting to them and you think someone will be interested in them, just let us know where we are, where they can find us, and hopefully we can get a few more listeners that way. Anyway, that's it with the housekeeping, so thanks for listening to that. What have you been up to, Matt?
Well, this last few weeks has been pretty busy, and on the last podcast I said it was just a lot of preparation for what was coming up in terms of the talks. Delivered all of them. They went really well, got some really good feedback off the back of them, got a testimonial from one of them, waiting for another testimonial from another company that I did a talk for, so that's absolutely great. And you know, the feedback within the chat and the interaction from people was second to none. I think I'm getting more interactions on events virtually than I ever have physically, like in-person events, which is crazy.
Oh, wow, that's quite impressive.
But the other thing I've been doing is some more prepping, because I'm trying to change the way I work and free up some more time. Obviously, I've just written a piece about on my blog about how I feel that this is not for everyone, but for quite a lot of people, an opportunity, this period of uncertainty that we're going through. And I don't feel like I'm making the most of it from a business point of view. So I've been doing a lot of forward planning, trying to rework the way I work with my clients in order to free up a little bit of time. And then hopefully the idea is that I'll have one day a week to do something different, whether that is good different or bad different. I might have to sort my accounts out one week. I might have to prepare for a pitch one week. I don't know, just little things like that. But the weekly stuff should now fit into 4 days rather than taking up the full week. And then I've got more weekends to myself and I can try new things. And I know this is something we've discussed on the, I think it was off the podcast really that we discussed it, but we're both trying to try new things out with a little bit. We've got an idea of something we want to do in the next few weeks. But yeah, I think, like, I know you say like you've not been up to much this last few weeks, but maybe looking forward, is there anything you're looking forward to doing in the next few weeks?
I know I need to start revising hard for my exams coming up, because we've just been told by the examination board that they're looking to do exams online.
Right.
So they're August time, but they're forever back and forth with when dates could be for this and how exactly it's going to work, because I don't actually know how they're going to do that. I don't know if they're going to have to use your webcam to make sure you're not cheating, or I'm not sure exactly what route they're going to go down, but that's definitely going to be on the horizon for me. Which would be it'll be really different, because I've been trying to stay on top of it all at the minute, but moving from the classroom-based learning to all of it being online, it's good when you get the interaction, but for me, and as I'm sure with lots of people, you learn in different ways. And for me, I can't really learn from reading off a screen.
Yeah.
Regardless of what it is, even if it's some form of instructions or something like that, I'd rather print it off and read it from a piece of paper, which sounds really weird, but that's how I would learn it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I used to like to print things off and work through it and highlight it and scribble on it, kind of thing. I'm not great at picking stuff up off a screen, and I actually, as well, when I'm doing some more planning for clients, I like to do that on paper or on a whiteboard or something rather than digitally. The end product is always digital, but sometimes if I just need to get a bit creative, scribbling down is a lot better for that, in my opinion, for that free-flowing thinking.
Yeah, you have that bit more freedom as well. Like I know there's so many like fantastic products out there that you can use for all different parts of like creativity, but just being able to literally write anything anywhere on a page or just grab another piece of paper quickly and just really spread your mind out that way. I find translating that into you doing that on a computer, even if you had all the best software, is still completely different.
Yeah, definitely, because you can just link things up so much easier. It's not like you're stuck to the rigid formatting of maybe how you do something digitally, and
Yeah,
just that physical touch as well, like of scribbling it and stuff like that, just seems to get the brain going a bit more, I think, personally. But
definitely.
yeah, it's how I do my newsletter as well. I get a page in my book and I kind of scribble all the ideas that I have down for my newsletter,
Okay.
and then kind of draw arrows everywhere where I want them all to be, and then start scribbling them out and little bits like that, just to try and create that format. And then when I go online, it's a lot easier to then create what I'm expecting. I tried to create the first one straight off the bat into the email builder, and it's just so tricky going backwards and forwards. And then you want to move something, but you can't. It's below the scroll or whatever, so you've dragging it and it flies down the page or whatever. And just, I don't know, pen and paper for me, there's something special about it. But
Oh, definitely.
I think some
Yeah.
people might disagree.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah. I was going to ask you actually, because I saw your newsletter yesterday. I liked the little part of it when you was on about the Hull City ladies, the t-shirt, the shirt designs.
Yes, yeah. It was an
That
interesting piece of content, wasn't it?
that was really cool. Which one, which one was you preferring out of them? I know
I
anyone listening can't see them right now, but if you jump on the newsletter or follow the Hull City ladies Twitter, you should be able to see them.
Yeah, I thought they were, considering that they went from the age groups that they did. So basically, what Hull City Ladies had done was put out a t-shirt template for a design and asked kids to design their next home shirt, and then they've picked one child from each age category to put forward onto a public vote. And I can't remember how old the youngest kid is, but it's like 5 or something like that. And
Something
like,
like that, yeah.
it's a really smart shirt design. I think the next one up was about 8, and that was quite nice. And then there was the two that I think were getting the most interest. Was one with like a diagonal half and half shirt, amber and black, and then in the black there was like a silhouette, a lighter, or it was a slightly lighter black, and then in full black there was like the silhouette of the Humber Bridge, which was really smart. But I don't think that translated to the digital version. Quite a few people said, "Oh, they should have kept the Humber Bridge," and they had, but you had to zoom in to see it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then the other one above it was like stripes, black and amber stripes, but then within the black stripes there was like the tiger stripes. It was like stripes on stripes, which I thought looked really cool. But I actually think the one that I think I could see a team playing in was one of the younger kids' pieces. I thought the other two were fantastic designs. They're just maybe a bit almost too clever, if that makes sense. There was too much going on. I really liked. I've just found them here. It was Casey aged 5, Layla aged 10, George 14, and Ellen 12. So some great designs for their age. But I really liked Layla aged 10, which was like a orange shirt with like a slight V at the top of black, and then it was black stripes down from that V, and that reminded me of the Humber Bridge as well,
Okay.
in a way. So I thought that was quite clever, and it had 3 little stripes on the arm as well, which was quite smart. But yeah, a really interesting piece of content, because basically why that worked, it worked on 3 levels. First is you've had your users creating content and there's something for them at the end. So by saying to their fans, look, you create this shirt and it could be the shirt that we play in next season, instantly gets people interacting with it. The results of that are fan driven, so the fans are already engaged. It's not just some person in an office going, here's some designs to pick from. It's fans' content. It's a vote. People always love a vote on social media because it's not too taxing. It's really easy to get involved with, and you can just add your opinion really easily. You just click a button and it's done. So it's really good for engagement. And thirdly, it's children. And like pets and kids do really well on social media. So, they've combined them
everyone
three.
has a bit more time.
Yeah. But them three are just like coming together, just a fantastic piece of content, really. And it's shown they've got some really good engagement compared to their other posts. So,
Yeah.
it was just spotted it, and I thought I had to share. It is. I think that's my third newsletter and the second piece of footballing content I've shared in it. But
There's always going to be football in there with you.
yeah, I think as well. Like I'm sharing stuff I see, and the people I follow are very much aligned with my interests. I'm gonna see the stuff. So, but I just the reason I liked it was I'd shared something from Hull City before. And I think quite a few people who read the newsletter just maybe looked at it and thought, oh, that's Hull City. That's a big organisation. I couldn't replicate that. But Hull City ladies, with no, with all due respect, are not as big as Hull City. They've probably got as many followers as quite a few organisations have in the area. It's an achievable size for many businesses. And to see them do something that got such a good reaction shows that it can be done. So that's why I included it. It wasn't because it was football. It was because it had all these other elements that I could talk about. But I am going to reference that on social media in the next couple of weeks. If people follow me on there, they'll see it. But if they want to be the first to see it in the future, they need to subscribe to the newsletter, which they can do on my website. Nice cheeky plug. Early Dolls here. I think now we should just get into the next part of the podcast.
Sounds good.
Okay, and as has become our new normal in lockdown, we are going to move to the random number generator provided by our good friend Google. So I'm going to generate a random number to select which topic we should have from the list. And the topic is best content types. Description for that is the best content types for social media. So just before we started this, I said to Tom I'd waffle on a little bit so he could have a think. But I'm going to throw it straight on to you, Tom. And this might sound a bit weird, as I'm the social media person here. But what do you think are the best content types of social media? And I'll give you a clue. The different types are plain text, link, image, video. They're the 4 content types I believe are being referred to in this topic of conversation. So you've got plain text, post, a post with a link in it, so it'll show like the little website preview kind of thing at the bottom.
Yeah.
An image post or a video post. Which of them do you think is going to perform best on social media, generally speaking?
Generally speaking, I'd say an image.
Okay. And what do you think is going to be the worst performing content out of them for generally speaking?
Text.
Plain text.
Plain text, yeah.
Okay, so you're not far off. Video is actually the best performing across most platforms.
Okay. Why is that?
Well, a couple of reasons. One, it is generally more engaging for people. If you see an image, if that image doesn't capture your attention, you move on. Like, you don't read the post above it. Whereas a video, longer term, it might not capture your attention, but the first few seconds might just get you a little bit intrigued, so you might stay a little bit longer. They actually measure video views anything longer than 3 seconds. So it's not a long time at all. Anything longer than 3 seconds to some people is, you can do 3, 10, or like up to 60 or whatever, but like 3 second views is like, they'll then say they've watched your content, not just kind of scroll past it. So it's not long that you have to try and capture them for to get them on board. But the other reason is not just because they're more engaging, it's because YouTube have such a big share of the market in terms of internet time, where people spend their time on the internet.
Okay.
And the ultimate aim when you're looking to produce content is that the social media platforms don't want you to leave their platform, because you don't pay for that. They get the money through advertising. So the longer you're on there, the more ads they throw at you. So by putting more video content in front of you, you're less likely to go somewhere else to watch video content. So that's how that works in terms of being the best. In terms of the worst, it used to be plain text. That used to be the worst performing. But I would say now, I would think plain text is probably just overtaking links, because they've started to realise that as engaging as links are, it's going back to that advertising thing. They take people away from their site and they might not come back. So when someone clicks my link to my blog, they might go to my blog and then get triggered while they're on my blog to think about something else and never go back to LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever it is. Okay. So I think definitely on LinkedIn, your plain text posts are probably ranking higher than links at the moment. But there are ways around that you can use. But what do you find most engaging when you're on? Would you say it's images, or what do you like seeing on social media?
See, because I was thinking about that. The reason I said images is normally with an image, because it's just there and it's breaking up all the text. I will normally look at it for longer than if there was a video.
Yeah.
Because normally with videos that you see on social media now, it's normally either the thumbnail that's showing exactly what it is, or if it's not, it's just a random thumbnail from somewhere along in the video, and then they've just put text over the front of that. As I'm scrolling through, if that doesn't just catch my attention straight away, I'll just keep scrolling.
Yeah. And it's interesting because when you speak to a lot of people, they say they don't really like videos because they never have the headphones or whatever. For whatever reason, they don't like video content. But time after time, the research shows that video is the most engaging content.
Yeah.
And it is interesting how people's perceptions of what they like is different to what they actually engage with. And it's the same like on all platforms. Like, you speak to someone and like with cookies on the internet, and like GDPR came in, and like some people are like, oh, I don't like cookies, and I don't like it when I look at something on a website and then it pops up later on a Facebook or whatever.
Yeah.
But actually, studies have shown that when you serve them with ads that are just randomly generated, they don't like seeing them. It makes their experience worse. Yet when you put ads in there that are relevant to them based on their searching and their activity, they have a better experience on the site. But people hate it. when you just crazy.
No, I've been finding that a lot. There is a lot of ads that do come up that are more specific. I would definitely say over the past year or so, ads have become a lot more specific, and I try and avoid as many things that are sort of tracking what I'm doing as possible. But it is interesting, even when you're kind of going out your way to stop that there is a fair bit that still does come through that is specific towards you.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know, I think there's like a name for it, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. But like this idea that you notice things when you're aware of them. I know that sounds obvious, but if you've just looked at a pair of trainers and then that pair of trainers appears in your Facebook feed, you're going to notice that advert because you've just looked at them at trainers. But what you didn't realise was 3 scrolls before that, you'd seen 7 adverts that weren't the trainers, but you never noticed them because they weren't the trainers, but you scrolled past them and probably even in your head went, oh, bloody another advert, and just scrolled past them because you were getting frustrated that you weren't seeing your friend's content. But when you're asked about it, oh no, I hate it when they reserve me ads for stuff that I've already looked at. Hate it. But, I'm the same. I went on a website earlier today to do some research, and then they started popping up on my Instagram story adverts. I was like, oh, I've been out bloody, that website. I know where this has come from. But, it is interesting. But in terms of the best content types, it's the stuff that engages the most. There is one caveat for all of this there, is that good content is good content. I'm sure you've spent time reading a really long Facebook post and other times scroll past a video. So it's not always that video is going to do better.
Yeah.
But
that was what I was thinking about when you first asked the question as well, is it will depend to me as well who it is that's produced or shared the content.
Yes. Yeah.
I feel like that plays a big part in it.
And it's the hooks as well. So if someone puts at the top about like, at the moment there's a lot of people who, I'm not saying they're doing it on purpose, but they're like putting stories about about their experiences of COVID-19, well, if that first line is quite emotive, you're going to read that first. Whereas a video of somebody just in their house about to tell the story might not hook you in because it's just someone sat in their house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas that first line that says, "Today couldn't have been any worse," hooks you in because you're like, "Oh, why couldn't it have been any worse?" You know?
Yeah, you want to know.
Yeah. So like, as much as that's your rule of thumb, a good piece of content will always perform. And it's similar to when people ask, well, what's the best time to post? You know, I can post at whatever time. I'm still not going to get the same reaction as like a massive pop star. You know, like some people go live at ridiculous hours and they still get thousands of viewers because it's them and what they're doing is causing a reaction. You know, so it's the same, like good content is good content. There's no two ways about it. You can't get around that. But if you're looking for rules of thumb, I would say prioritize visual content, your videos and your images, and then at the bottom you've got your text and your plain text and your links. However, another caveat to that is play to your strengths. A lot of people don't like being on video, and therefore, if you don't like being on video, the content won't be as good because you'll be nervous or you will put it out until it's perfect, and that will cost you time and money, kind of thing. So, but yeah, is there anything you feel like I haven't covered in terms of the best types of content for social media?
Is there any that you'd specifically avoid, or would you just, as you just said, then prioritise your visuals?
I think prioritize visuals. There are ways around it. So a lot of people try. A big thing on LinkedIn at the moment is putting your link. If you've got a link, so let's say you're talking about a blog or whatever, putting the link in the first comment. So that can help get around it. I'm not saying don't post links. I've put a lot of my blog on my website because I'm trying to generate SEO for my website at the moment. Yeah. But anyone who maybe doesn't use their website or has really, really good SEO anyway, search engine rankings, maybe look at, if you can, posting the blog article in different ways natively to the social media site, so you're not sending them off site. For example, like I might post a blog post and let's say, a couple of hundred reach on some platforms at certain times of the day, but if I posted a video explaining my ideas behind that blog post, it might get thousands of, viewers.
Yeah.
So it's not that you shouldn't do things. There is bad content. If you put out something that's offensive or whatever, you might feel the effects of that, but it's better to put it out in some format than in no format. So I don't think there's anything you should avoid. Just always be looking at ways you can kind of tweak it to make it a little bit better. Could you do a video summary of the blog or some kind of enticing bit beforehand that then leads into, if you want to read more about this, I'll put a link into my blog in the comments or something like that. I'm going to do a post next week about opportunities and discussing making the most of opportunities, which I will then say, look, if you want to read more about this, I've written a blog post on making the most of opportunities. The link will be in the comments, and linking out to that way rather than just putting in my latest blog post, I spoke about opportunities, link, that kind of thing. But yeah, I don't think there's anything you should avoid or in that sense of what types of content.
Okay. And if there's someone listening that does all different forms of content, but now they're kind of thinking, I have a lot of content out there, but I'm not sure what's exactly doing the best for me across the different platforms, is there different ways they can measure that or find out them sort of statistics through the platforms?
Yeah, you'll get a feel for things. You might not have noticed it, but you'll get more notifications for certain posts or things like that, so you will notice it in that way. Just keep a track of what it is that's doing well in that sense. But you can track your analytics on across all the different platforms, really. So Facebook's probably the best Facebook and Twitter are quite good. LinkedIn, if you've got a business page, is quite good. But yeah, if you go onto Facebook and then onto your page, and then there's a tab called Insights, and then within there you can look at what's doing well, and even download reports that include each post on its own, and you can see how well that post did, what interactions it got, that kind of thing. It can be a bit of a minefield. It's a bit of a beast, is Facebook Analytics. It just sells you so much. Then you've got Twitter. Twitter's quite good if you've set up analytics on there as like a business kind of thing. You just go on there, select your date range, and it under tweets, and it'll show you how each tweet did and your overall performance. It's really stripped back and simple on there. And then LinkedIn business pages, it's there. It's somewhere between Twitter and Facebook, I'd say, in terms of complexity. Instagram, you can see analytics for business pages as well. So, yeah.
Okay.
It's definitely worth diving into and just pulling out, especially if you see trends. So, like, it might be that your posts that are at the end of the week might be performing well. But I've said this before, you need to test different things, because it might not just be that factor. It might be that actually all the posts that you're doing at the end of the week are always videos. So try your videos at the beginning of the week and see if they do as well then, and try your blogs at the end of the week to see if they do as well, and then you can go, actually now I move my videos at the beginning of the week, they did worse, and I move my links out to my blog to the end of the week and they did better, so I need to do my best content at the end of the week, and every time it'll do much better. But yeah, it's horses for courses, and just like diving into that and looking into it and examining it, you can really understand what's best for your brand.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if anyone's listening and has any more questions on that, they can get in touch and we can either discuss it at a later date or try and have a few words with you or something along them lines.
Yeah, definitely. If anyone does want any help with analytics or content advice, just get in touch, see what we can do. If it's a bit of a beast, we might have to sit down and have a bigger conversation, but if it's just like a quick question, I'm more than happy to answer that. They can either email me, hello@themattjohnson.co.uk, or contact me on the usual socials at the MJ Social. Be more than happy to help them with that.
Perfect.
So that's the main topic done for this episode of the My Journey podcast. As we always say towards the end, if you've ever got a question or a topic that you want us to cover, then please do get in touch. We really want to hear from you guys, the listeners, and we want to bring as much value as we can to you guys. So it could be anything that's business related, specifically to social media like we have today. It could be business related in terms of how I've built my business, how I've got to where I am, general business kind of advice. Or it could be careers or wider journey, as we've discussed before, like the last episode was about our best jobs so far. Like anything business, careers, journeys related, we'd love to answer that for you. So please do get in touch with myself, or if you know Tom as well, through whatever channels you want to. But I do believe this week Tom's got a question, so over to you, Tom.
Yeah, so someone that's been listening in, one of my friends, actually got in touch with me with a question, thinking I'd be able to answer it, but I can't, so I'm going to ask you, as the person that deals with all the social networks.
Okay.
It was a question based around hashtags.
Right.
More importantly, like, are they still used, or are they used more on another platform compared to others now? Like, I remember back when I was heavily using Twitter, it was a massive thing there. But I think I heard somewhere on the line that had started to decline a bit. But yeah, how are hashtags used in 2020, basically?
Okay, so hashtags are used, and this links quite nicely into what we've been discussing today in terms of good content. So anyone who's listening to this for ideas about social media content is going to get an absolute barrel load of great insight, hopefully. But in terms of hashtags, I'm going to go into this in more depth on Social Media Club at some point. So if anyone finds this interesting and wants to know more, please do join Social Media Club on Facebook. Just search for the Facebook group. But basically, yes, they are still relevant, but it's different on each platform. Facebook, I would say they're not really worth using. The search function on Facebook doesn't really prioritize them in any way or make them any more useful than any other part of the search. So probably not on Facebook.
Okay.
Twitter, yes, they're still useful. Twitter is built around search and finding conversations and discussions and topics and what's going on. And although their search is really good at not needing a hashtag anymore, in terms of you can just search for an individual word, a hashtag does bring together certain topics. And especially if it's multiple words, it works really well. So I do take part in a thing called Content Club UK, which is every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Some content creator across the UK will come online and ask 3 questions over half an hour, and you answer them questions and you can read other people's answers and get advice and all like this. But if we use Content Space Club Space UK, potentially any tweet including them 3 words would be included, whether or not they're together or split up in the tweet. Whereas by using the hashtag, it clearly defines what content's going to be found under there, and it's easier to find other people's content. So hashtags do work in that sense. Instagram, their search function is based around tags, so hashtags are great. As I say, I'll go into that more in Social Media Club about how to use them on that platform. There's a lot of rumours and stuff, and I think, there's a lot of we could go into in Instagram, but yes, they're still relevant on there. And LinkedIn, again, a bit like Twitter, they do help discoverability on certain topics. For example, social media marketing. If you search for it as 3 words, anyone using them, 3 individual words would come up, whereas this way, only that topic. Also, another good little one on LinkedIn is if you've hashtagged something and your post is getting a lot of interactions, it might then notify other people within your network that your post is trending within that hashtag. So if I posted a piece about personal branding and hashtagged it personal branding and it got a lot of interactions, Tom, you might get a notification saying Matt Johnson's post is trending in personal branding.
I think I have had a few of them.
Yeah, so although that doesn't necessarily mean anything to the post itself, it does help you, and it does allow LinkedIn to see how well it's doing compared to other posts on the same topic to determine whether or not it's trending. Hashtags definitely do still have a place in 2020. It just varies from platform to platform, and as I say, if you want to know more about that, then join Social Media Club, and I'll make sure it's one of the topics in the next couple of months.
Perfect. No, thanks for that. Hopefully that's answered the question. I'm sure they'll get in touch with me and let me know if there's any more from that.
Yeah, and it'd be great to hear if other people have got experience of hashtags, like maybe they do use them on Facebook and they work really, really well for them all. Get in touch, because I'd love to hear about your experience with them, because, I've not seen that, so it would be good to know if it is the case for you guys. So, like I say, get in touch. We want this to be as valuable as it can be to you guys. So questions, topics, maybe you've got an opinion that you want to share and we can discuss that. That would be great as well. So I think that's everything for today, Tom. You haven't got any more questions, have you?
No, I've got nothing more from there.
Okay, right. So we'll wrap it up there. As ever, thank you for listening to the My Journey podcast. And until next time, stay safe.